Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. This is Daily Dose Radio, your home for 5-minute, verse-by-verse, underground Bible study through the Psalms. And we do that every day, Monday through Friday. And I'm so glad you've joined me today. And this week we're doing the second half of Psalm 106. I don't think I said it last week. This is the last psalm in the fourth book of the Psalter. The Psalter is divided into 5 different books. This is the end. 106 is the end of the fourth book. Next time, we'll begin Psalm 107, which begins the 5th book of the Psalter, and will take you from Psalm 107 all the way to Psalm 150. And you know what? We're probably, now that we're entering into the 5th book, I'm trying to decide whether or not I should do the apocryphal Psalm 151 as well. I haven't decided that yet. It's going to be a while before we get there because in this 5th book we have Psalm 119, and that's going to take us quite some time to get through. It'll probably take us nearly half a year just to navigate verse by verse through Psalm 119. Well, that just gives you a little, idea about how much longer we've got to go. So I hope you'll join me for this Bible study as we go verse by verse through the remaining Psalms of the Psalter in the 5th book, beginning with Psalm 107. We'll start that next week. Okay, so today we're looking at verses 25 through 29. Psalm 106, remember, is a psalm of contrition, a prayer of contrition. And remember, the psalmist begins there in verse 6 by saying, "We have sinned." So just like the people, so the psalmist, and then, of course, we, his readers, must also declare the same thing, "We have sinned." Let's look at verse 25. "But murmured in their tents, and hearkened not unto the voice of the Lord. Therefore he lifted up his hand against them, to overthrow them in the wilderness, to overthrow their seed also among the nations, to scatter them in the lands. They joined themselves unto Baal Peor, and ate the sacrifices of the dead. Thus they provoked him to anger with their inventions, and the plague brake in upon them." That's verses 25 through 29. Again, we're still repeating the transgressions that happened in the wilderness, in the journey to the promised land. And this whole week we're going to be going from wilderness to the land, through the cycle of judges and kings, and then look at the prayer of the exiled people. So here in 106, 25 through 29, we're talking about their wilderness behavior. He references Baal Peor, which comes in Numbers chapter 25, verse 3, specifically references that they were invited to the sacrifice of Baal. Now, you'll recall the story of Balaam begins in Numbers 22. So Numbers 22, 23, 24 is all about Balaam and how he tried to curse the people, but God had told him that they were blessed. In 25, the people commit whoredoms. That is, they begin to intermarry with and to have sexual relations with the women of Moab and Midian. And those women invite them to their feast, which is for Baal. Baal Peor is a hilltop where Baal was worshipped. Actually, it's one of the hilltops where Balaam went to curse Israel, but God wouldn't let him do it. So they go there, they sacrifice to the dead, or they ate sacrifices of the dead. That is, they were sacrificing to these idols, and then the people were participating in the covenant meal afterwards. Thus they provoked him to anger with their inventions, and the plague brake in upon them. There's a plague that comes in after this time. Baal Peor is remembered by the Jews for a very long time. As a matter of fact, it's ensconced in their history as a time of great falling away. And something happens. We'll see that tomorrow as we look at Phinehas and his role in this particular instance. So I hope you'll join me then as we look at Psalm 106, verses 30 through 34 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.